Hails and well met, and welcome to my Dankest Dungeon. I'm your host, Mally Nim, and today within these dank walls I bring you a series I like to call Dankest Dialogue. A show where I interview ttrpg actual play creators to nerd out about their campaigns and more. Today in my dungeon I am joined by Index Paige. Hail, Paige. Welcome to my Dankest Dungeon. Please, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Hello. My name is Index Paige, the page of the Index Page, here to index all the most wonderful stories and share them with you.
I am a voice actor. I've been a hobbyist voice actor for around 15 years now.
And recently I became a professional voice actor. I'm doing a couple of comic dubs and getting official work done and slowly working my way up into the industry. I'm also a professional GM, a semi-professional author and artist, and an all-around variety streamer. Thank you for having me for this. I'm very excited.
Oh, thank you so much for accepting. I'm honored to have you here, and that's so cool on the voice acting.
It really helps out with GMing a lot.
You would not believe it.
Hell yeah. So let's start off. Tell me, how did you get into TTRPGs and how did you become a dungeon master?
I got into TTRPGs around 10 years ago with an old group of friends I have since lost touch with, but started out as a player doing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, or however long ago Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition came out. I forget how long ago that came out, but it was my introduction to TTRPGs and being a player, and I drifted from table to table and found myself really enjoying making characters because I've always been that type of a person, but finding myself not getting as immersed in stories when these are pre-made stories, modules and all that, where people can play the same story again and again and again with different characters, and it was just, to me, not as fun to see other people be like, hey, I've played through Curse of Strahd 8 times now. My character's got some passing knowledge from previous timelines and all that, and I'm just sitting here where's the variety? Where's the fun in it? So I decided to try my hand at dungeon mastering and trying to make my own little worlds in 5e, and never really finding the vibe for it because 5e really favors its own setting, and that's how I eventually found my way to Fabula Ultima, and by extension some other wonderful systems such as Lancer, Triangle Agency, and now Sword World. I love worlds that I can shape and make on my own, and since then I've become I'm a forever GM. I love being a forever GM. I know it's not for everybody, but it's fun for me.
Nice. Out of those systems, which one is your favorite so far?
So far, probably because I have the most experience with it, is Fabula Ultima, the JRPG TTRPG. Purely because you can, it's not just that you must work with your players for session 0. It asks your players and you as the game master to sit down in session 0 and not do the introduction in the tavern, not do the introduction of your characters. You shape the world together because there is no set world. You draw the world up, you talk about what type of a shape of a world, what type of a setting you guys want to do, any sort of red flags you guys might have, some of the standard stuff that you would expect of a TTRPG. But you also take the time to discuss races. And one of the things about Fabula Ultima is races should not confer any sort of mechanical benefit. If there is sort of any mechanical benefit, it's not to dice rolls. It's oh, my race is amphibious, because we're frog people. We can breathe underwater. Yeah, that's perfectly allowable. But if it's something oh, I get a bonus to my roll purely because I'm this race, no, that's not allowed. It wants you to have fun with making a character to do whatever you want. You want to be some sort of big, clumsy giant who wants to play the ukulele, despite the fact that that thing is about the size of your fingerprint, go for it. You could be the best goddamn bard that you ever wanted to be. And the other great thing is that it demands the player's multi-class because you can only have 10 levels in a class, where player level goes up to 50. So you need to mix and match different classes to make your own unique thing. For example, one of my players is a Tinkerer, Fury, and Pilot, and he is a Common Rider. It's a very fun and freeing system.
That's really freaking cool. I love systems that give you options like that, and agree, session zeros are very important. And I've seen some other systems where you and your players get together to build the world. I like that it's baked into that system. I'm gonna have to give it a look-see sometime.
And the best part is, if you want to take a look at the system, on their main site, they have a free version that acts as a tutorial system with some pre-made characters, a pre-made mini setting and all that, just to introduce the mechanics and all that. It has all the core rules that you need. But there's 4 main rulebooks right now, and a bestiary being made, with official monsters that's supposed to have over 300 monsters in it. But it gives you the tools to learn how to make your own world, make your own classes, make your own monsters, make your own anything in this system.
Oh, that's cool. I love that. So you went from D&D 5e, started spreading your wings, trying out Fabula Ultima, Lancer, Sword World, and beyond. But how did you get into creating actual plays, starting your own?
If I was not a VTuber, I would not be doing a live play. But with my being a VTuber and a desire to write books, make comics, tell stories and all that, Index Paige, Spirit of the Library, likes telling stories. Who would have guessed? I figured I'd put one and one together and be like, I could do something about this. And it's kind of a dream to want to be like a couple of my inspirations over at Ogre Popening and Narrative Declaration, World of Ioverse, and I've made some friends in those circles, and it's great to see that people are actually liking this. It's just, I wanted to share this story with more people and have them geek out about this world as much as I do. Or worlds in this case.
Awesome. Relatable. I am in a few VTuber circles as well, met some awesome players and started my own, so yeah, I can relate to that. So, you got into actual plays, you found some players, and you started one. Let's talk about this first one, ttrpg. Paige. Tell me about the inception, ideas, and inspiration for this actual play.
So it started out with it being a play on der Page, kind of like a German phrase of page or from page, and also derpage, because look at the players we have. You've seen episode 1 and 2. You've seen how goofy these goobers can be.
They are goofy. I love the dynamics too. They have some fun moments and funny conversations.
They really do. But going forward, it's going to be less calling the first campaign der Page, calling the second campaign the School Haze, and more so the entire umbrella of any campaign I run is going to be a der Page campaign. So we now have the story of Golem Heart and the Schooled Haze. And we're working on a 3rd and 4th campaign in the background right now, which I'd be happy to talk about later. Because right now, the first campaign. So in Fabula Ultima, one of the things when you want to start a campaign is to consider, where do you want to take some inspirations from? Like, to help you flavor the world, or like help you get ideas for the world. And the first 2 series that popped into my mind, Fairy Tale and the Legend of Heroes series.
Hell yeah.
Following that, we've taken a little bit of smattering of other different little fantasy stories. and I've like kind of started mixing them together. But the main two inspirations are The Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky, Trails from Zero, Trails to Azure, Trails in Cold Steel, that wonderful, wonderful series, and my own personal favorite that got me into fantasy storytelling, Fairy Tale. This is a world known as Terra Arcanum Novus. And it's a world filled with magic, though not everyone has the ability to wield magic. Anyone can use a magic tool. You can hook yourself up to a train and like be the conductor of the train so long as you have the stamina to operate it and let the magic tools use its fuel to push it along. So we're not burning as much dangerous fuels in this world. But as a result, all the magic fuel that's burning causes magic residue, which causes more magic monsters to spawn in, thereby making a nice cycle. But in this world as well, there are mages, people who have a gift for either magic coming from within themselves or using specialized tools that have called out to them. Like, oh, this deck of tarot cards called out to me. Oh, it's a magical deck of tarot cards. Oh, I guess I'm going to be using, this is my unique form of magic. Or, hey, I have this unique form of magic from within me that lets me summon the power of my emotions as JoJo stands, more or less. I'd be happy to answer any more, like, specific questions you have about it, but as for how it came about, I asked in another server where a group of friends have, like, set up their own little VTuber circle that I wanted to start a little ttrpg campaign, and I was looking for some players and asked around there first because that friend group had always been wonderful to me and I wanted to give something back to them. And I got the players. It's been really rewarding to tell this wonderful story so far, but also to see how they help contribute to the world as well.
Very cool, very cool.
I'm happy to answer any and all questions. There's so much floating around in my mind that I can't grab any of the thoughts immediately.
Relatable. Would you call this setting like magic punk or mage punk, maybe?
Absolutely, yes. I love high fantasy settings. I love shonen, I love seinen, I love shoujo, I love josei manga. I love settings that just get over the top fantastical with their power and magic.
Yeah, that's so fun. I love it. I love to hear it. And later, be on the lookout for the show and tell where we will show Paige's maps out. So you have a guild that the players belong to. There are other guilds in this world, correct?
Yes, we haven't explored any of the other legal guilds. Touching upon Fairy Tale as our main inspiration, there's legal guilds, people who gather under the banner of a like-minded ideal, such as might makes right, or I'm here for love, or hey, I'm here to be a part of a host club, but also to be one of the most beautiful mages. Golem Heart is more so a collection of people who are all troubled by something from their past or feel like they don't belong and looking for a better place to belong, and it's more of a found family. Each legal guild has its own big ideal and big goal. And they tend to set up in areas where they can easily be called upon for jobs in that area. So you're not going to find two towns like 5 miles apart from each other and have two guilds. Though it's not uncommon for people from other guilds to visit another guild, so long as no major fights break out, because the council will want to conduct an inquiry about that because of the anti-guild aggression pact. But then, of course, we have the dark guilds, the illegal guilds, people who have foregone the legal ramifications of, hey, we're not going to take any requests from people that are like, hey, I'd like you to kidnap this person. Hey, I'd like you to off this person. Hey, I'd like you to smuggle this for me. And these are people that do literal illegal things. And the main crux in this world is that despite the fact that mages make up maybe 5% of the world's population, 10% of the world's population, guilds are where you find the 1% because they're the ones that have it cut out for them. Like, you can maybe find many mages in a city. They don't have to go to a guild. They can maybe, hey, I want to be a baker. Hey, I want to join the sigil wardens and keep the peace. Hey, I want to just live a nice, peaceful life and not be bothered by any of this. The adventurous types will seek out a guild and join a guild. And Golem Heart is the focal point of this first campaign, where the players are set upon the continent of Duplansia and how they've started to break away from their home city and starting to explore more of the world at large.
I love guilds and role-playing with guilds and stuff, so that's really cool.
Plus, it also helps defeat the "I've never met each other before." It's the one trope I've always hated in TTRPGs. The Deus Ex Machina meeting of convenience has always been a cliched trope that I find more GMs need to drift away from.
I'm not a fan as well. I love that you're doing these series, the Paige series, kind of like with different tales. I can relate. My main series is called Shadows Fall, and I incepted it like an anthology series. So is that what you're going for Paige? Like different characters, different tales?
It's a possibility for a future campaign to have multiple smaller campaigns connected to one world, but each campaign, unless otherwise stated to be directly tied to another campaign, are set in different worlds, different times, and all that. For example, the world for the second campaign is set on Terra Arcanum, and someone in my chat had asked me, isn't this the same name as the world from your first campaign? And I explained that no, this is Terra Arcanum, the other one is Terra Arcanum Novus. And, you know, the maps kind of look similar, but then someone also pointed out, doesn't Novus just mean new? And had to be like, someone figured it out, so these two campaigns, one is a prequel, one is the main timeline. But for campaign 3, because it's going to be a space campaign, and campaign 4, it's going to be a modern fantasy campaign, they're going to be on different worlds. But it is fun to have little tie-ins some way or another to showcase how this big universe touches each other. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, heck yeah. So is Paige 2 a continuation, like a season 2 of Paige 1?
No. Paige 2 is actually the prequel to Paige. To put it better, the Schooled Haze is set on Terra Arcanum, and following the story of the Schooled Haze will eventually lead to the story of Golem Heart set on Terra Arcanum Novus. The big mystery being, how did this world change shape and change entirely from the building blocks into this new world? But that's the big giant hint in Terra Arcanum Novus.
That's freaking sick. I love that. I love that concept and that idea. Next question for you, Paige. So, Paige 1, Paige 2, Schooled Haze. Do you have any favorite moments from these campaigns?
So far from the first campaign, there's 3 that stick out to me the most. The little downtime section we had in the first campaign, where Lyle Rains, our resident tank, played by Saratamon, talks about the pajamas he's wearing. And we're making jokes about the fact that he never takes his armor off. And it comes up that no, you don't have to worry. It's not armored pajamas or anything, it's his nightwear, as in KNIGHT.
Nah.
And I just felt myself wanting to reach through the computer and strangle the player / affectionate because I suffered so much from that pun. but considering how much I make puns in their chats, I deserved it.
Pun payback.
Following that would have to be 2 moments from the current season, because we are currently in season 2 for the first campaign. And the second number 1 moment would be having the players look for the missing prince in the city of Infinitum. And they manage to find him because of his unique transformation magic. They don't realize they find him until one of them gets a big gut feeling. And by the time they go look back for him, he's already disappeared and the person he was impersonating has already come back. And they spend roughly 3-4 hours in game time being given the runaround by this guy in a giant market filled with people where it's like you have to brush shoulders and Assassin's Creed walk your way through the crowds, constantly impersonating different merchants or other people and messing with them emotionally and mentally, just for the sake of, I just wanted to make sure you guys are on the up and up, and also it was funny as hell. Because we've discovered that Prince likes pranking people. The number 1 moment so far, though, would be introducing one of the 9 primordials. Because in lore, the primordials are what is tantamount of living gods that helped shape the world. One such primordial being the Waiting Tsunami, which is the primordial of the water element. A massive living tidal wave, waterfall, cascading, frothing, raging rapids that plainly looked at the players, despite the fact that it's been recorded for the past 50 plus years to never avert its gaze, to just walk in whatever direction it's going. To be able to have my players in character and out of character be unsettled by a scene so much because of the storytelling was a very rewarding feeling for me.
Oh, I bet. Those moments, oh, so good. I can't wait. I hope I get to that. You said that was in season 2? Or...
Yeah, if you look at the illustration, you have illuminated by the moonlight the silhouette of this massive creature overlooking a boat, and the boat is supposed to be a galleon. You know, the largest commercial type of a ship that you might find in a fantasy setting. That can house maybe 100, 200 people, depending on its size. And this thing dwarfs it.
Look forward to that in the next segment. Now, I ask this to every DM because, you know, sometimes things don't go how you wish. Do you have any regrets, or do you feel like you should have done anything differently so far in your campaigns?
I have learned to really roll with the punches, and I do have some key set points of the plot set out. I usually discuss with my players like, hey, I want something to happen specifically at this moment, and I want to let you guys know that this is going to happen regardless of what you do. Because Fabula Ultima also asks the GM to discuss these types of things with players. But also in my personal style, I prefer to tell a story rather than just going purely off of improv, but I have found a way to work with improv and telling a story, and I've evolved a little bit because of that. But things I regret would probably be taking as much time as I did on making the maps, or still struggling to find people to help out art-wise, but we do have a limited budget. I have managed to find a couple of things that I can make work for us. And I think really the only biggest regret would be scheduling errors that pop up, which you can't really fault anyone for.
That's not bad for regrets, you know?
I love both worlds. I do wish we could have started the second campaign earlier, but there were a lot of like backlog issues and scheduling errors. But the fact that we have the second campaign happening in tandem with the second season of the first campaign is great. And I think the other main regret would be having both campaigns meeting on the same weekends. One meets on Fridays, one meets on Sundays. So usually when both parties meet, my voice is going to be shot. So I'm thinking after these 2 seasons, I'll only have one campaign happening at a time, while the other campaign's on like a 3-month cooldown, so that I don't blast my vocal cords. Teehee.
Relatable. I mean, not the vocal part. No, I'm sure I would probably mess up my voice if I did too many campaigns. Me, it's a focus issue. I can't focus on more than one at a time.
Yup. Big yep.
But that's really cool. That's really cool. You're like powering through, and you said something about already have ideas for season 3 and 4. Please. Any future plans you wish to discuss?
So I would say that not season 3 and 4 have been thought out entirely, though for the first campaign I'm planning for 6, maybe 7 seasons. Depending on like the pacing of the episodes and all that. Season 1 was 13 episodes, season 2 is currently 6 episodes in, and we haven't really reached the halfway point yet. But how the campaign progresses is up to the players, and it's great that they're invested in it so well. Campaign 2, I'm planning for that to be maybe 5 seasons. But for campaign 3 and 4 that I'm planning, campaign 3 is supposed to be a kind of space outlaw setting, a grand treasure hunt, charting the stars, wanting to find a secret within the galaxy to discover a means to breach out into other galaxies. A way to break free from the limitations of where we're at. And the inspiration for campaign 3 is Eden Zero, Star Ocean Till the End of Time. Well, Star Ocean as a whole, along with a little bit of help from Doc Vivi Leandra, who is a real-life scientist who is helping us out with making sure that we're a little grounded, but keeping the fantasy aspect alive. Campaign 4 is very far off in the future, and how do I put this? Madoka Magica meets Persona, also meets The World Ends With You. It's a modern fantasy setting with... Or not meets The World Ends With You, meets Bungo Stray Dogs. It's a modern fantasy setting that's supposed to have noir aspects, shonen aspects. There's going to be plenty of action and comedy planned for it. The main crux is the overlap of the conscious and subconscious worlds. In that sleep paralysis demons are trying to find a way to overlap the two worlds, the waking world and the sleeping world, so that they can breach their way in and not have to rely on people being asleep all the time to get what they're looking for. And it's going to be fun to see how dungeons erupt in the middle of cities and how things might be bigger on the inside than they seem on the outside, and how the psyche and subconscious can help or hinder you, while monsters spawning from living nightmares tend to evolve and grow in power the more they're feared. But I really don't have any players planned for campaign 4 yet, because I really want to get through the other campaigns first.
Yeah. Damn.
I've also had my players angrily tell me, calm down, finish what you have first.
I can see that. Damn, those are some really cool ideas. Grandiose plans you have. I love them all.
If there's one thing I'm good at, it's telling a grand story.
Awesome. Well, let's go to the final portion of the interview where we get to show off some of your maps and cool art from the campaign.
Yeah, I would love to.
So tell me, Paige, about this map here.
So, This is my first world map that I ever made in Incarnate, and the world for Index Paige, the story of Golem Heart. I definitely need to go in and remaster it. I have since gotten a lot better as a map maker, which you will see later on, and I've gotten even better than that. What we have here is a world with 3 main continents. I'm going to say continents, but 3 main land masses and 5 main continents. We have the Dredgelands and Irend on the western continent. We also have the Bouquet Archipelago in the very center of the world. There is the Expansity and Duplasia over on the eastern landmass. And it was fun making sure that each area felt like it had its own culture and ecosystem a little bit. And honestly, naming everything was the worst part.
Naming stuff is always the hard part. I don't know what you're saying about. This is a beautiful map, first off, so love it. For the viewers, where does Page 1 start out?
All the way over on the lower right-hand corner in that little city by the Gulf, where the mountains meets jungle and desert, known as Upheaval.
How much travel takes place in Season 1?
Season 1 has them traveling from Upheaval to the city of Onward on the coasts and back to Upheaval, because a lot of stuff happens around and in that city with a guild-to-guild conflict with the Gorgon's Eye Guild after a plot is revealed after their debacle over an Onward. But since then, Season 2 has them leaving Upheaval and going to the capital city of Infinitum. So they haven't explored much of the world, whereas the players are from all over the world. But following Season 2, it's going to be very fun to let them explore the world at large a little bit before the main campaign. And I'm thinking we're going to be having a lot of side episodes. If the plot permits, and the artifact that they are hoping for is the one that they get, side episodes will let them explore a lot of the eastern landmass for what are tantamount to filler episodes and going to be just cute little podcast one-off things, maybe 50-minute silly side content. Nothing for experience, no major battles, but just for building character relationships and all that.
Heck yeah, that's cool. I won't keep you long on this map, but I would love to know the lore behind the Bouquet Archipelago.
So that is the home for mostly the sectoid and dryad races. We have 9 races on this planet. We have the Humes, we have the Stout Folk, we have the Lorgan, we have the Beastkin, the Aquan, the Avanoi. Then there's the Dryads and the Sectoids and the Witches. You can find mostly the Sectoids and Dryads here, and this is a set of islands that, if you look at the very center, there's a strange tree with very, very strange land. In the full 8K version of the map, you can see the details in very, very fine detail. What is essentially that main landmass in the very center, where the water is even glowing. That is a tree made entirely from rock and coral, because that land is a meteor. The outer bark grew from a meteor that crashed into the planet innumerable years ago, and since then has warped the flow of magic in the Bouquet Archipelago. You'll notice many of the islands look a little odd. You'll see a winter island next to a desert island. You'll see a very lush green island right next to what looks like a wasteland filled with cacti. And that is because Each and every island has its own magical ecosystem purely because of that meteor strike. You could be sailing between two islands and all of a sudden the temperature, with the snap of the fingers, shifts from a very chill 20 degrees in the air to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, that is. And it is going to be the focus of Season 3, actually. It's going to be very fun going into remaster that section and letting the players explore the Bouquet Archipelago while they mostly will be going to the Peony Playground.
That's some fun lore. I really dig it. I love that. Tell me about these sectoids real quick.
The sectoids are the insect race of the planet.
Yes.
We have a main race that caters to many different wants and desires. You know, the humans are the humans. The stout folk are kind of like a mix of gnomes and dwarves. So that we're not just saying, oh, we have elves, we have dwarves, we have insect people. We have the beastkin, which encompasses, you know, anything between cat girls with just ears and tails to full-on anthropomorphic lion men. We have the Aquan, who are the same, but, you know, for aquatic races. The Avanoi, who are the same, but for birds. Then you got the Dryads, which are people with plants growing out of them. You know, leaves for hair, bristly cactus needle mustaches, etc. The sectoids encompass all insect races. And the witches are the most interesting ones because they're kind of the odd duck. They are perpetually young appearing, very magically gifted, very least populated race, noted for the rune carvings on their faces, and their strange puppet magic that they all use. And on my Patreon, I actually have the lore document that talks about them, all 9 races on the planet, and a little bit about some of the backstory. I'm going to be working on Volume 2, which is also going to go up for Patreon on free eventually.
Link in the description below.
I like to make sure that each lore document is at least 5,000 words because I have so much to tell.
Wow. And I had to ask about the sectoids because I was hoping it was insect people because after goblins, insect people are my favorite TTRPG race or ancestry to play. So that's awesome.
It is great to have the sectoids. We don't have any players that play as sectoids, but it's nice that no one's off-put by them.
Oh yeah, if I were to venture into this world, I would definitely roll up a sectoid character. Next up, tell us about this image page.
This is one of the pictures done by my sister Hornet. I have to get her links again, purely because she's changed a lot over the years. But this is her interpretation of the guild hall. We didn't like take a lot of direction for this, but this is the image we use whenever we're at home in Upheaval and at the guild hall itself. It's mostly to just capture the fantasy aspect of what it feels to be in a fantasy guild. It's supposed to feel like a safe place. It's supposed to feel like a nice home you can come to.
I love the art style. It's beautiful, very evocative.
I love what she does.
We have some more of her art to show off. This next piece, I believe, is where the first battle took place against some dewdrops.
I learned a lot from that battle, and the fact that I need to never make a physically resistant enemy ever again, unless it's someone that's supposed to be super tanky. It's also what we use whenever we're in a forest setting. I'm trying to talk to her about getting some more backgrounds done. I'm trying to find other artists to help with background art because I don't want to just take assets from another game or another setting or all that, because I like to make sure that, one, everything in Der Page is Der Page. 2, making sure that any artist's stuff we use, we have permission to use for it. Like many of the icons we use for battle tokens are from Akashic's library. And so long as I give credit to Akashic's library, we can use them, but I also can edit some of them because of the tier I've subscribed to their Patreon. But this is a lovely forest setting where we have many different filters set to this now. So we can get different feels for like a forest at nighttime, forest where everything feels eerie, just a forest in the middle of the day.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean,
It's just supposed to be nice, simple backgrounds that can help set the scene. Because it's great to have scenes where you're not just looking at the map all the time. And the thing, because of how we do our live play and how Fabula Ultima is, you don't have top-down exploration, you don't have top-down battles. You have, it's a whole thing.
yeah, so JRPG coded. But yeah, I love this art, and I understand it's hard trying to find good assets for your actual plays. But one thing that I like, you haven't leaned on AI in any way, so tip of the hat to you for that.
To all people who rely on AI, I wish a very stubbed big toe.
Agreed. Well, what's next? What do we have here, Paige?
What we have here is the Flying Fortress of the Gorgon's Eye Guild, the penultimate villain of Season 1 of the first campaign. One of 50 guild halls that they have, where they invaded the city of Upheaval and caused a ruckus with their main guild hall. The big reveal that this is one of 50 was revealed to the players after they had barely managed to take down the guild ace and watch their guild master fight this guild's guild master. Just to showcase that there's so much more to this world and there's so much more strength that they can get to not jump ahead of themselves, you know?
Oh yeah, and I just love the art style. Your sister has a really cool art style.
She really does.
Next up, we have a few creatures. Can you tell us about these?
I think I know where to begin. Index Paige, we have these creatures known as anima aberrants. There's something being done in the world to mess with the flow of magic. Something is being done that causes issues, where all magic is being stopped in that area or being overflown and forcing dungeons to spawn in, or in this case, upsets the natural order. And these are the best physical representation that we can have for them. Taking another note from Madoka Magica, or Cassette Beasts if you played that. Have you seen Madoka Magica?
I have not watched it, but I do know of it and the premise.
So, witches in Madoka Magica are drawn in a different art style than the world around them, because they hurt to look at. They make no sense. They physically should not be. And that's where the anima aberrants come in as well. These are the anima aberrant alphas. What they are is essentially amalgamates of shards of what can be called glass that take on the shape of wolves very loosely. And the artist Kunskibild was able to depict them as full stained glass mosaics, purely for the sake of illustrating them much better. When I first introduced them to the players, I described them as, imagine you were drawn in watercolor and these are paper mache. You are pixel art. These are 3D rendered. No matter how you look at them, they make no sense. Like they physically should not be. And there have been many others that we have alluded to, and that these are just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, I love that. I love that description, and I love how you take inspiration from a lot of things, anime in particular. But yeah, that's so cool. I love taking inspiration as well. You know, that's our job as DMs. Next up, I believe, is another one of those creatures.
Yes! The dire version of them. The pack leader, so to speak. We played around with the idea that maybe all the glass shards meld together and make a much larger version, or maybe it's not that the shards not that these creatures are made out of shards, but these shards take the shape of these creatures because it makes the most sense in this world. That the shards themselves are the creatures, not the creatures are the shards. So the thought came to be, instead of having a pack leader that leads a bunch of them, what if it's just a giant amalgamation of them? A swath of them that form together into one massive one.
Bad freaking
Trying to find
ass.
a way to make... Trying to make sure that they each make less sense than the next one is also a big challenge.
Oh, I love that. Well, next up we have, I think, another amalgamation-looking creature. Tell us about this thing.
The Anima Aberrant Beta. Imagine a claymation stop-motion type of a creature pulling itself out of the ground, trying to drag itself and make its way to you, while other hands form from its body to try and drag it back down into the ground forcibly. It wants nothing but to keep pushing forward, pulling itself forward, and smoothing over anything in its wake. All it wants is to just keep moving forward. And as we've seen in the first campaign, these things don't look alike. The Anima Aberrant Alphas and Betas. Like, they are done in two different quote-unquote styles. Granted, these are all done by Kunstgebild for the sake of making it easier to illustrate them all, but they're supposed to visually be represented as these aren't all from the same world. These aren't just coming over from some shadow world or all that. These are all coming from a different world, each and every one of them. Case in point, the Anima Aberrant Beta, the moment it saw one of the alphas nice and weak, would just smash it and send it flying and heal itself. They have no qualms about destroying, eating, defeating one another.
I love the disturbing nature of this and the flavor of the description of this creature. The claymation style coming at you. Like, if you saw that IRL, just the mental image is so disturbing. I love it.
I make sure that these are disturbing enough to unsettle, but not so disturbing as to off-put.
And I think you struck a good balance. I love it. Now, earlier we talked about a colossal oceanic primordial.
Yes. In the world of Paige, we have mana beasts that have a variety of grades. After existing for a certain amount of time or getting enough power, they will evolve and develop into new forms of creatures. Essentially, the older or stronger a mana beast is, the higher its grade, to the point where it becomes a problem. Primordials are the 9 oldest mana beasts on the planet, if not the creators of the planet. No one really knows. They've been here for as long as we can remember. There's only 9 of them. But they have such overwhelming power that they upset the ecosystem just by existing. But not intentionally. They're not malicious. At least to our knowledge. This one is the Waiting Tsunami. A gargantuan, living waterfall, tidal wave, raging rapids, what have you. Back on the map of Terra Arcanum, the carve that you see in Duplainsia, that massive inlet of water carved straight into Duplainsia, was made by this lovely, lovely individual here, who often goes on a walk up and down the carve every few years. And every town on the planet has alarms in place for whenever a primordial is near, because they are attracted to strong sources of magic. Strong sources of magic that they deem recognizable. Normally, they pay no mind to anything unless it's a part of their domain. You messing with the ocean? This guy's gonna come and fix it. You causing a lot of war and destruction and all that? The fire guy's gonna come and fix it. You, causing problems up on the Sky Islands? Well, we got the light one and the wind one. You mining so much that you're fracking the planet? Well, we got the Earth one. One is tied to each of the races and one of the 9 elements. And this is the only one we have seen in the campaign so far. And if you look closely, there is a ship in this picture. That ship is supposed to be a galleon. One of the largest ships that can be made in a fantasy setting. This ship in particular has hundreds of people on it. And just looking at the scale of this guy compared to a ship that has hundreds of people, they would not even make a stack up to a third of his height if they all stacked on top of each other. And they are one of the mysteries of the first campaign. Because Fabula Ultima asks each campaign to have at least 3 main mysteries.
Oh, nice, neat. Yeah, that's an imposing figure there. And I love the lore, I love the ideas and stuff. You said there were 9 elements. What are all 9? Can you name them?
Yes, technically there's 8, but I include physical as like the absence of an element or just the spirit itself. There's fire, cold, which encompasses water and ice, bolt, wind, earth, light, dark, poison, and physical.
I'm a, dark kind of guy, so I'm really curious of what the design of the dark and the poison would look like.
Oh, we are working on that. I have the person who did this sketch. I have since commissioned my lovely, lovely friend and moderator, my name Jers, who is doing all 9 of them, trying to make sure that they all look exactly similar but different. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I would love to see the finished product. Well, we have one final image here. It is another map. Please tell us about this world, Paige.
This is the world for the second campaign, the School Haze. And as you see, the map is a lot better than the first map in terms of painting technique and detailing. I think they're both wonderful maps, but I have, evolved. My technique got better. And this is the world for Terra Arcanum, a world where people slip in from our world very often. Usually by the half dozen, maybe 2 dozen at most, every so often. It's not so bad that it could be called a pandemic, but every few hundred years, there is an Omen era. An Omen era is when people from our world are brought over, whether by summoning, true isekai via reincarnation, or just slipping in through a little crack between the worlds on accident. And we are in an Omen era in this world currently. In this world, there are 4 main academy cities to help instruct people who have the power to use unique skills and people who are brought over to this world and get these unique skills by default. Because this world is based around isekais. This world is based a little bit off of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, ReZero, Overlord, what have you. We took a lot of inspiration from those kinds of stories. But rather than just saying, hey, you got one protagonist, we took a lot of cues from That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. What if multiple people have been brought over to this world? What happens if you're not just the one protagonist? What happens if you're surrounded by people with protagonist potential? And it's interesting to see how these characters interact with each other. And of the 4 academy cities, one academy city tends to specifically off-worlders. people who have been brought over to this world. One tends to specifically on-worlders. And two of them tend to a mix of both. You know, there's many ideals on this planet of people who don't like off-worlders. There's people who think they're great, they help out the world. There's people that think nothing one way or the other of them. And it's been very interesting to explore this world a little bit. We haven't explored a lot of it, but what we have so far has been really great. We're set in that little crater-like area of Hyrant right now, over on Min-Marchand.
Nice. That's fun. I love a good isekai, and it's so coincidental, so relatable. I'm currently on hiatus on my latest actual play, but I did the same thing with an isekai setting with, 4 different heroes. So that's really cool. I look forward to checking your version out because I love it. I love that kind of style.
Thank you. It was fun making both of these worlds. I really need to work on more maps.
Hey, this map is freaking awesome. DMing, map making, it's all experience. The more you do it, the better you get. And yeah, this one is definitely shows your improvement.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with me, Paige. That was a fun trip through your maps and art and lore. Well, before we wrap this up, any parting words, Paige?
Really, I don't have anything that comes to mind. I thank you so much for having me here. And if you are interested in these campaigns, make sure to check the links below. Or you can always check out Patreon to get access to them early whenever one of them goes up early. Or watch us live over on Twitch. But if I were to give some professional parting words, don't be afraid to break away from Pathfinder and Dungeons & Dragons. They're great for babies' first ttrpgs. But if you're looking for so many different flavors, if you're looking for something specific, explore out there. There's so many. There's hundreds, if not thousands of systems out there that can cater to so many different niche desires. You don't have to reskin these worlds, and you might find yourself having more fun with another one of the systems. I myself have found the most fun with Fabula Ultima as a result.
I couldn't agree more. I'm away from 5e myself, and beautiful parting words. And yes, please go follow Paige. Check the description, everything's down there. Once more, thank you so much for joining me in my dungeon, Paige.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you again for joining me, Paige. You can find links to Paige's YouTube and Twitch channels in the description below. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I really appreciate it.